Thank you, Ron. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, veterans, and our special guests, the Fuller family of this amazing town, Tocumwal. Maybe at some other occasion, I could talk about my experiences in the Middle East. But tonight, it's not about me. Tonight, it's about remembering and never forgetting the sacrifices that men and women from all our countries have made during war. At the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, we stopped to reflect on the moment that the guns fell silent in 1918. For it is the day we honour all who have served, all who have suffered, and all who have died in defence of this great country. Here in Tocumwal, as elsewhere, remembrance is not something abstract. It is personal. It is local. For the town, like so many across rural and regional Australia, gave a disproportionately large number of its sons, fathers and daughters to serve in both wars. Every family, every farm, every business, every street was touched. Tonight I want to share a story of two of Tocumwal's brothers, Robert Bob Fuller and Ernest Nugget Fuller. Both left this small town on the Murray to go to the other side of the world in uniform for King and Country. Both young, both from Tocumwal, both bound for war. But only one came back. Ernest Nugget Fuller, the son of tonight's special guest, Bill Fuller, was born in 1921, the 11th of 13 children. The origins of Nugget's name are unknown, but from this time he'd lost his birth name of Ernest and became Nugget. Nugget was often overlooked in his early years and managed to avoid school wherever possible by hiding in the chook shed. This habit of being AWOL is also reflected in his military record. I can relate to that. Nugget enlisted first on the 21st of May 1940. After training at Puckapunyal, he sailed for the Middle East, and over the next 5 years he would serve in some of the toughest campaigns of the Second World War. From Syria to the grueling Kokoda track in New Guinea and later in Borneo. By the end of the war, Nugget served 522 days in the Middle East, 392 days in New Guinea, and 95 days in Borneo. In all, he gave over 5.5 years of his youth to the operational service of this great country. I think that's simply remarkable. Not long after Nugget enlisted, his oldest brother Robert, Bob Fuller, also signed up on the 28th of June 1940. Bob became a private in the 2nd 22nd Australian Infantry Battalion. After training at Tocumwal near Seymour and Bonagilla, Bob and his battalion sailed north to Rabaul, New Britain near New Guinea, in early 1941. On the 23rd of January 1942, Rabaul became under massive attack. 17,000 Japanese troops landed against a garrison of only 1,500 Australians. Vastly outnumbered, the men of 2nd 22 fought bravely, but the battle could not be won, not against those odds. Bob, along with hundreds of others, was captured and became a prisoner of war. While in captivity, the Japanese permitted some of the prisoners to write letters home. Bob did write one such letter to his mother here in Tocumwal. That letter was later dropped by Japanese aircraft over Port Moresby as part of the propaganda effort that the Japanese engaged with. Against all odds, it was picked up by an Australian soldier, and through channels associated with the Salvation Army, they were delivered home. But can you imagine the mixture of relief and sorrow in holding that letter? A message from a son in captivity. Proof he was still alive, but with no certainty of what was to come. That actual letter survives today, held safely in this very RSL, right there. It is not just a relic of war, but a living reminder of Bob's courage and the love of a family waiting anxiously for news. Tragically, Bob never returned home. In mid-1942, he was among more than 1,000 prisoners and civilians placed aboard the Japanese transport ship, the Montevideo Maru, bound for Hainan Island. On the 1st of July 1942, off the coast of the Philippines, the ship was torpedoed by an American submarine, USS Sturgeon. Unaware it carried Australian prisoners, the ship sank quickly. There were no survivors. On the 22nd of April 2023, it was announced that Montevideo Maru had been discovered 4,000 metres below the China Sea, over 80 years after its disappearance. The sinking of the vessel remains the deadliest maritime disaster in Australian history to this date. Bob's official date of death is recorded as the 1st of July 1942. His place of death, the South China Sea. His cause of death, died at sea, Montevideo Maru. He was just 25 years old. Yet, for his family back in Tocumwal, news of his fate did not come immediately. For years, like so many other families, they lived in a torment of not knowing. It was only well after the war that confirmation of his death finally reached them. Their grief, delayed but no less sharp, was shared by countless other Australian families. The Fuller Brothers story is not only about personal sacrifice, it also speaks to the burden carried by small country towns like Tocumwal. During the Second World War, a large proportion of young men from the district enlisted. The town gave more than its share. Some, like Nugget, returned home. Older, changed, carrying the scars of war. Others, like Bob, did not. Their names became the silent absences at the dinner table, the missing faces in town, the empty chairs at the RSL. This loss was not felt by one family. It was felt by every neighbour, every mate, every street. When a son of Tocumwal did not return, the whole town mourned. Today, both Bob and Nugget are remembered not just in history books, but right here in their hometown. Their names live in the street of Tocumwal. Robert Fuller Court and Nugget Fuller Drive. Lasting reminders of two young, courageous men who left this place to serve on the other side of the world, to serve their country. For Bob, remembrance of a life cut short, a sacrifice complete. For Nugget, it's a recognition of years of service and survival against all odds. For both, it is a reminder to us of what Tocumwal gave to Australia's war effort and the debt of gratitude we still carry. Tonight I've told you about Nugget and Bob. However, there are others from the Fuller family who have had a long history of involvement in the Australian military. Bob's sister also served in World War II in the Australian Women's Army Service. Bill's grandfather, William, fought in the Boer War in East Africa in 1900. His diary is now with the Australian War Memorial in Canberra. Bill's younger brother, Jim, joined the Navy. I don't know why he'd do that, but joined the Navy in 1976 as a petty officer after serving over 20 years in peacetime operations. And finally, Bill's son, Michael, in 1997 joined the Royal Australian Air Force as an avionics technician. That's more like it. In 2005, he was deployed to the Middle East area of operations as a physical training instructor. In 2008, he transferred to the Army, where he joined the 2nd Commando Unit, also doing multiple tours in Afghanistan in 2010 and 2012. As we gather here at the Tocumwal RSL this year in 2025, let us reflect on the meaning of Remembrance Day. It's not only about battles and campaigns, it's about people, about brothers who enlisted together, about families who waited, about towns that gave so much of their youth and strength. When we say the words, lest we forget, we mean Bob. We mean Nugget. We mean every man and woman from Tocumwal and across Australia who served, who suffered, and who did not come home. May their stories continue to be told. May their sacrifices continue to inspire. And may we live lives worthy of what they gave. Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. Well done.
Well done, Brian.